Hey, it's your friend Choice CJ here, and I'm bringing you guys my Week 7 battle for P4G Next Generation. Now, our opponent is none other than Blue Rogue, coach of the AFC Wormadam, and Blue Rogue is pretty well known throughout the community, not just for being the #1 Jenner and game recorder, but also for being a top-notch battler. He's in a bunch of cool leagues. He's in PPL right now, which just started, I think, around Week 1 or maybe Week 2 at most. And he's in a bunch of other leagues as well. And he's got a scary team, which features Victini, Togekiss, Decidueye, Swampert, Stakataka, Rotom. I think it's Rotom Ghost. It said Rotom S on the dock, which I assume means Rotom Spook. But I could be wrong. But anyway, the rest of his team is Megaladios, Scolipede, Mamoswine, Hariyama, and Skuntank. So I feel honestly this is the worst matchup of any of the games I've had so far. Just because he's got a couple of pretty sturdy rain checks. Like Lottie in particular is just really, really hard to deal with. And then like Swampert in combination with maybe like even like a fat Hariyama or something can be very good. And just like a speed boosting Scully is really scary. It sort of invalidates my rain sweepers, period. If he gets to +1 speed and he gets like a Sword Stance boost or something like that, it's very, very scary. So like I can't. It's hard. Like it's hard to pressure him offensively, I feel. And like so, I could be tempted to bring some more bulk, but then he's got that Victini there, which is really scary, which annihilates all sorts of balance and bulky offense and stuff. So yeah, it's just a really tough team build, I've got to say. But we've done the best that we can. And I'll just hop on into the team here, and then we'll quickly jump into the battle. So first off, we are bringing a Mega Scizor. This is the primary response to Scolipede. Like, luckily, we do have this Mon, which is probably the hardest counter to Scolipede in the game, except for, like, Skarmory, I guess. That's the only other thing I can think of. But with max HP here, he needs to be Life Orb to have a chance to two-shot us with something like Earthquake after a, after a +2 boost. So that's really nice, and we've got a pretty good shot of 2-hit KOing with Bullet Punch here. If he is Life Orb, then we definitely two-shot. That's no problem. His Bullet Punch resists on his team are not super good. Like, it's this Victini here, and Rotom, and then I guess Swampert, which is, definitely annoying. But I guess Swampert's more pressure to check my Water-type Mons, which is nice. But the nice thing about Victini and Rotom both is that they're hit by knockoff, so we can do a tremendous amount of damage. With this attack investment, we do like 95% min to a uninvested Victini, which is pretty sweet. To support this, we have a Scarf Pelipper. Now this supports in two ways. One, it gives Drizzle, so that way if he's got Mons that are packing HP Fire, that is weakened because we will be in the rain. And then we're packing the Tailwind on this Mon. So if we can use Tailwind, we can boost our speed on our Scizor. Small oversight here. So this is I'm recording this after the battle has occurred. If I had thought more about this, I would have put a little bit of extra speed into here, because Victini with a Choice Scarf, it's going to hit. Let me tell you, it's going to hit 250 speed. So I should have gone a little bit higher on speed. I should have gone up to I think 126. 125, 126. Yeah, I should have gone up at least that much. And I guess at that point, maybe I could have even just run a Jolly Nature. But I guess what this is 189. Let me get to 126 with this here. Yeah, so no, Adamant Nature still would have been better because you get 6 extra points there. But anyway, I didn't run that. So, but that's just an oversight on my part. For something like a Scarf Victini or something like that. I wanted the 112 that I had, which is down here. This was to outspeed, I think, min speed Rotom, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, because this hits 111. So that was the thought process with the EV spread that I did choose on the Scizor. But I digress. So Scarf allows me to get off that fast Tailwind if I'm in a desperate situation. And Scald and Hurricane's actually just pretty decent coverage versus his team because his only flying resists are Stakataka and Rotom, and neither of those really appreciate Scald. I guess Lottie is fat enough to take Hurricane as well. But the nice thing is that if we do anticipate a Lottie switch in, we can U-turn, and there's lots of other mons that we can go out into to deal with that. So next we do have a Scarf Coco, and the reason we have Scarf Coco is to outspeed a potential +1 Victini. And then also if Scolipede is at only +1, we can actually take it out with a Thunderbolt. I could have run like Brave Bird or something like that, but it actually wasn't necessary because Thunderbolt does like 105, 110%, which is pretty neat. But yeah, T-Bolt, Dazzling Gleam for Lottie, Grass Knot for his ground types, and then U-turn for Momentum because he probably will want to switch in those ground types. And I can pressure them both with the Pelipper and also potentially with my Toad. And if I don't pressure them, I can at least try and get up my Rocks. Rocks are really a big priority for me to weaken mainly the Victini. If I can limit the number of switch-ins that thing has, that's going to be very beneficial for me. It does stink. He's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 defoggers. So, like, maybe keeping up Rocks is going to be tricky. We'll have to see. But Toxic's just there for just general nuisance. Maybe we can hit an incoming Lottie or something like that. Because you know, I do have the Rain here. So he might think this is a Swift Swim Toad. And so Lottie is a very, very good switch into Swift Swim Toad. So if I can bait that in, I could Toxic it and pretty much wear it down. And then Scald plus Ice Punch is just pretty good neutral coverage versus his entire team. The only thing it doesn't do a ton to is... no, it pretty much hits everything that I can see. So that's nice. Next up, we do have an Assault Vest Muck. This is my main response for Lottie, I think. Because if he's like stored powered or something, we can just go for Crunch. We'll eventually get a defense drop and we'll be able to 2-hit KO. And we do have Shadow Sneak on here to go for the combination of like Crunch plus Shadow Sneak. So that way maybe he can't recover stall if we get him to a certain range. We've got Pursuit to trap Lottie. It's also really useful for trapping Victini that's choice locked into something that's not desirable. So we can do pretty tremendous damage to that. We put just a little bit into speed here just to be cheeky. And then I don't remember exactly what this defense investment was for. I think it was to help us take a move from... it was either Victini or Scolipede. I don't remember exactly. With this set, the one thing that I am like very scared of is a Reflect type Latias. Because if he can trace Poison Dark, the only type that hits Poison Dark super effectively is Ground. But of course he has Levitate. So he basically becomes at least, you know, no worse than neutral versus everything. And there's a lot of key resistances that Poison Dark has. So that could be a problem. And especially because a lot of my ways to hit it super effectively, like the Dazzling Gleam, the Knockoff, and things like that, that's neutralized by the Poison and Dark typing. So I'm definitely expecting that. But I don't really know what else I can do about it. That's definitely scary. Then last but not least, I've got a DD Mence. I've got it with Intimidate just because this sort of gives me a backup check to Victini. You know, I don't have any bulk investment in here, so I guess maybe I'm being a little generous in calling it a you know, backup Victini check. But that's mainly why I have it here. D-Dance, like, he's got Mamoswine, okay? Like, D-Dance is not an ideal set to bring. But we do have Yachi Berry, and if he's not like an Adamant Life Orb Mamo, then Yachi Berry does really well in giving it survivability. And if we do get like to +2 or whatever, it does have a really good shot of wearing through his team. But otherwise, like, it's mostly filler, and it's mostly to give me a pivot into Victini or something like that. So that's the team. Like I said, this is a really tough matchup for me. I'm not very confident going into this. So let's just quickly hop on into the battle. So Blue Rogue has gone ahead and brought his Mamoswine, the Megalodios, Decidueye, Stakataka, Victini, and the Togekiss. So it's a big relief for me not to see Scolipede, just because that could definitely have been a big issue for me. Other mons that I'm excited not to see include Swampert. Like, Swampert's just kind of hard for me to kill. I don't have any grass coverage on my team besides Tapu Koko. And then other things could have been potentially annoying, just like Skuntank, Hariyama, kind of some other fat stuff. But otherwise, you know, this is, I guess, pretty much what I expected. Lottie is really nice for checking my rain and also checking things like Volcanion, so totally understand seeing that. The Decidueye with its grass type attacks is going to be very good versus all of my rain sweepers. Maybe it's like a Scarf set or something, or who knows, maybe it's just like a Yachi Berry set to help deal with, or even like a Koba Berry for dealing with Hurricane on Pelipper. You know, it's hard to say for sure. Victini could be anything. It could be Scarf to deal with my Rain Sweepers, or it could just be an all-out attacking set, you know, with Life Orb or Choice Band or whatever. And then Togekiss is just overall annoying, and I'm not looking forward to facing that thing. So, as I mentioned, rocks are really important for me because I want to try and get rid of the Victini ASAP. So, I am going to lead with my Toad, and like pretty much other than... No, I am packing a Rindo Berry, so I can live one from pretty much anything, including Victini if it's packing Energy Ball. So, it just seems like a reasonable thing for me to lead with. And with that, we are going to start this battle and wish good luck to my good buddy Blue Rogue. And he is going to be issuing a challenge with the Chatot t-shirt. Very nice. I know that Blue Rogue likes to edit with his avatars because he does all sorts of cool custom firmware stuff, so he can get whatever look he wants. He's definitely a lot more fashionable than me. But he leads off with Earth Power, which is his Mamoswine. It occurs to me that this thing is probably running Freeze Dry, but I think that my Toad can live, and he does reveal the Life Orb, which is good to know. But like I said, it's pretty much worth it for me to get up rocks here. One thing I'll say as we're going into this too is that I didn't have access to the damage calc throughout this whole battle, which made things a whole lot harder. Basically right now my computer room is not doesn't have good Wi-Fi access, and so I can't play at my computer. So I have to play in my living room, and I would have hooked up my laptop, but I was out of battery and I didn't know where my charger was. So I kind of had to play this whole game blind, which made things kind of challenging. But anyway, after he took out my Seismitoad with another Freeze Dry, he didn't even have to do that. He could have just gone for like a ice, you know, a physical ice move or a ground type ice move, or like Earthquake or whatever. I go into my Scizor figuring that Bullet Punch is going to threaten him out, and he brings in his Victini expecting that. I thought he might pivot out, so I went for knockoff, and this is a huge, huge, huge turn. Getting rid of the Victini makes my Bullet Punches really free in this match, so we're going to have to see if that comes into play later. But anyway, he brings out the Togekiss. This is like the most blatant Babiri Berry that I've seen in my entire life. So I'm not going to take the bait. I'm just gonna bring in my Muck because it's about the best check that I have to Togekiss. So I'm gonna be able to threaten out with a Poison Jab. I am worried that the Sack Attack is gonna be coming in, and that's exactly what happens. If this thing is Trick Room, I'm kind of in a tricky spot, because I have to like stall out for a few turns. So basically I figured I would go into Mence, I can Lam and Intimidate, and actually I'm like maybe expecting the Earthquake here, and I would obviously be immune to that, or if he went for Trick Room, that'd be nice to have a turn to dodge. But instead he just goes straight for Stone Edge and takes me out. I do think that this was a damage roll from a attack boosting Stack Attacka, so that's a bit of a bummer, but you know, it is what it is. Salamence stays getting bopped in all these matches. I've used Salamence like really well in other leagues, but it's just not really working for me so far in this season. But hey, it is what it is. So I bring in my Pelipper, and obviously I'm threatening the Scald here. But this is a really nice chance for me to just go for a U-turn and see what his response is going to be. And it does appear that it's going to be the Lottie. And I do have the Rain up. I am expecting this to be like a bulkier spread, because it needs to be able to take hits from Volcanion, Seismitoad, things like that. It's probably got a little bit of speed as well to outspeed a max speed Salamence if needed. He's going to reveal the Reflect type, so as I suspected, he does have the Reflect type. But the nice thing about Reflect type in this situation for me is that it gives him one less slot for coverage moves. So assuming that he's got Recover or Roost or whatever, I don't think he's going to be able to be packing much else. Like if he can't be packing Calm Mind with that with stored power, because then my Muck walls. Even if he Reflect types the Muck, obviously that doesn't make a big difference. But what was I saying? So he probably just has, like, he just revealed the Psychic. So I don't know he's gotten the last slot. It turns out he has Dragon Pulse, like I found out after the match. But it's just kind of looking like there's nothing that he can do to me. So my Scissor's actually at +4 now. I was able to SD twice in front of that Lottie, which could not hit me for anything. And even with him copying the Steel Bug typing, Bullet Punch was going to be a 2-hit KO. And it covered switch-ins to most other things. We're going to be able to take out the Togekiss that he sacks. Stack Attack is going to come in here. and I'm going to go for the knockoff. Like, I'm doing the calc. Like, I guess, they do similar amounts of damage. But if he's got some sort of boosting item, like, I'm thinking, again, I don't have access to my calc, so I don't know what sort of item he is exactly. I thought he might be, like, banded or, whatever the rock boosting item is, like rock plate or whatever that equivalent is. I thought he might be something like that in order to take out my Ments. So I thought maybe knocking that off would be nice, so that way my Scizor can deal a little bit better. As you can see, he's actually Rocky MZ. And I was really worried that he was going to take me out, but we were able to survive on 14, which is really clutch. I could have just gone ahead and taken him out with another Bullet Punch or knockoff or whatever, but I know that he's got Decidueye and Bambo in the back still, both of which have access to priority. And so it's not worth it for me to just come out guns blazing here. I need to roost for a few turns and get to a comfortable amount of HP. And assuming I can avoid crits, I should be able to get up to, like, maybe 70% HP on this thing before I start firing off other moves. And as you're going to see, like, over the next couple turns, this is exactly what happens. He keeps on going for Stone Edge. Like, it kind of sucks for him. He's in a situation where he's got no other play but to just pray that he can find a way to get critical damage on me here. I think I'm at the point, though, where even if he crits, like, he's going to run out of Stone Edges before I run out of Roosts. So it's looking like it might be a Scizor sweep. We almost had a Scizor sweep back earlier in the season. I think it was week 1 versus Reckless Bat, aka Nick. But there was a clutch survival from Weavile that was able to live with like a 5% HP. And so that stopped the Scizor sweep. But in this situation, we are going to go for Bullet Punch, hit up this Stack Attack, knock it out. That's going to leave him with the Decidueye, leaves him with Mamoswine, and I think, and also the Lottie. So, based on damage calcs, none of those can survive Bullet Punch at +4. And I'll just go ahead and tell you guys right now that Scizor does end up getting this sweep. So it's going to end up being a 4-0 victory for the Baltimore Oriolus, which feels really nice. We've been on a bit of a slide in P4G lately. And, it's mostly because, it's because my opponents have all been playing well, first off, and bringing smart sets, like last week versus Max Rapture. He brought a really smart Bandit Arcanine set that bopped me. I haven't been able to, commit as much time the past few weeks as I would like to, just because I'm in the middle of a move, and I've been doing a lot of stuff with unpacking, and also doing a lot of stuff at work and whatever. You guys know the standard BS excuses, but it was nice to be able to catch a W here today. And again, I wasn't really expecting it because I thought that matchup was pretty bad. But just sniping that Victini so early proved to be so critical because he had no steel resists other than that. And other than Togekiss, he wasn't packing any other fire coverage. And so being able to scout out for that with my Scizor was really clutch, going into the muck. I think I could have been in trouble if he went for Trick Room with Stack Attacka instead of going straight for Stone Edge. That might have been an issue. But, we got pretty lucky he didn't go for that. If he had gone for Trick Room as I switched in the Ments, I probably would have doubled into Scizor and just kind of tried to waste as many turns as I could that way. Like, I could, maybe sack my Coco. Coco wasn't looking incredibly good in this matchup based on the team that he brought. But it would have been much harder. So I'm fortunate that that wasn't the play that he made. It put me in a position where Scizor could take him out. And I guess without any boosts, Scizor with the bulk investment that I have could have potentially just roost stalled. But it's hard to say for sure. So shoutouts to Blue Rogue. Make sure you guys go give him a look. There's going to be a link to his channel down below, as well as all the other coaches. So make sure you check them all out. We are going to be going up against Frieslander next week in his Rotterdam Staraptor, so that's going to be a very fun match. Make sure you check that out, and make sure you check back to the channel for all sorts of other gaming and Pokemon content. So until the next time, I'll see you guys later.